from the Everglades about doing away with sugar, get rid of sugar. I don't know if you all received it, but I did. And it really sort of gave me a little pause, because we know that sugar plays a big portion in our economy, especially with jobs in the Western community. And I initially thought maybe we would do a resolution, but I understand the Glades is putting together a resolution. But I just wanted to, make mention that we certainly should be supportive of sugar and have a balance within our community, and not say get rid of sugar. And when we talk about issues with the water, and I know there are certain factions within the county that feels whatever way they do, but we have to take a holistic look at everything and not say that we want to get rid of an industry. So we had a Ag Summit here, and when I say we, I mean we didn't have it, but we contributed to it, and it was very well attended. It put, certainly areas that we needed to look at as far as agriculture, which included the sugar, and I just think that we need to make sure that we support the industry here in Palm Beach County, that industry, which is the sugar.
Commissioner McKinley.
In remarks to those comments, I think it's important to recognize that it's not big sugar as it's reported in the media, it's agriculture. And that even on those sugar fields, we're growing corn, we're growing rice, we're growing sod. Some areas, particularly on the Florida Crystals property, they're actually storing water. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Not only that, but we've had so many conversations on this dais about locally grown produce and agricultural products. And I think that we need to do what we can to support that. I wasn't prepared to have this conversation today, but since it's before us, I've had these conversations at the 16 County Coalition on Lake Okeechobee and at the Regional Planning Council and other intergovernmental bodies, that we need to make sure that we are recognizing everybody plays a part in what's going on in our environment right now. That goes from local and municipal elected leaders to the state, to the federal government, to developers, to business owners, to homeowners. Everybody plays a part in what's going on right now. And so, Commissioner Taylor, I appreciate your comments. And I would suggest, I know that the resolution that we will have before us in the coming month or two is dealing with the funding, solely for the funding for the Herbert Hoover Dike, and making sure we keep that as a priority. And I would request that this board maintain that focus on that priority at this time. Thanks.
Commissioner Vanner.
Well, Madam Mayor, I was still, I was doing comments. Thank you for those words, and I appreciate your supporting it. But I definitely wish that we continue to monitor this, because obviously there's a lot of conversation at this time, and we want to definitely be known that we support this particular industry here. And I think that as we move forward, we had this issue with the lagoon, and we had the little fright that it might have been Peanut Island. It could have been affected, that we monitor that and make sure that we as commissioners are kept apprised of what's going on with that.
Commissioner Vanner, you had your light on for a comment?
I did go to the meeting with Senator Rubio and some of the people in Martin County, and saw the result of what was there. And quite frankly, it was not Senator Rubio, but many of the other people said, we know it's coming from the septic tanks mostly. They understood that. No one wants to say the word septic tank because it costs a lot of money. But I want to, through Todd, I want to know, Todd, we may have just made you become unconscious. I'm sure if I were in the audience, I would be too at this point. But the question is, if there's money to do anything, and I'm going to bring this up at the RAC, we're putting a lot of money into doing all kind of building things and all of that, but if there's going to be money for helping people get on sewer, we should be part of that. Are we part of that?
Madam Mayor, Commissioner Vanna, it's a great point that you bring up, and I think some of you might be aware that last week the governor announced a program of potentially a 50-50 match that would be used. He's going to put in his budget and recommend to the legislature to fund that in regards to the recent algae break and working with some of the properties along the Caloosahatchee and also the St. Lucie River. We have had subsequent conversations with the governor's office specifically about that program and offered that affected water bodies in Palm Beach County, such as the C-51 and even Lake Okeechobee and the rim around Lake Okeechobee where some of those septic tanks are located, should be included in that. They were very receptive to those discussions, and we're going to continue to work with the governor's office on that proposal as they put some of those pieces together. But we had a very good conversation with the governor's office about hopefully supporting something like that moving forward.
Okay, and I have asked, because I'm a science person, show me the facts. We have engineers that understand where the water is coming from and where it is going. So do we have the paper ready, or what's happening with that?
Ken Todd is constantly working with South Florida Water Management District along with DEP. There is no quick fix to this. It is a number of things that are going on. So we're not only working here collectively and with the state, the governor's office is also involved. And so as we continue to finalize and get the appropriate information, Ken Todd is gathering that data. I did speak with the representative from South Florida Water Management District, and they will be happy to come present before the board, because you did ask for that a while back.
I was asking for what was happening south of the lake, but we are implicating huge swaths of our county in something that it may not be implicated in. And there are methods to determine who's doing what where. And I think, yes, everybody plays a part. But I think when we talk about certain segments of our community, I just want the facts. All I want, facts. What do the engineers say the water is doing? Where is it going? How do we control where it goes? And so that we don't have, again, all of this. It's the same thing with the ag reserve. I don't want to go down that road, but just the facts. We need the facts so that there's not all of this stuff swirling around that's incorrect information about what's causing or not causing everything to happen. And, we have to, I agree that, I serve on the RAC. So north of the lake is a big problem. There's legacy phosphorus everywhere. We're not going to get rid of that overnight. So the fact that we've ignored that, the state has ignored that for such a long time, but the South Florida Water Management District has made tremendous strides in addressing the water. Our farmers have made tremendous strides in how they're addressing the water issue. So I would just like to get some basic facts about which way the water flows, what kind of things we can expect, and what has been done to make sure that, we are doing our very best to make sure that something like that doesn't happen here. And, everybody who has a lush green grass, most of the time there's something in the fertilizer that makes your grass look really pretty that doesn't do well for our environment. So if you see my grass, it's not. Actually, I don't really have grass. So it's green, but technically it's vegetation. But there are all of those things that are happening. And I think that could put to rest some of the, I was very disappointed. I looked at, one of the news channels, they were interviewing Senator Rubio and Senator Negron, State Senator Negron, and they kept saying big sugar, big sugar, big sugar. And I'm like, did you ever actually get any backup? Did you ever actually do any research? Because to me, it was like shtick. I could have done that without, my 3-year-old could have done that interview. No research at all. And it is deleterious not only to our community, but nationwide when they hear these, again, not researched statements that are just, I'm going to say it, they're ignorant. So everyone plays a part, but to what part we play, and are we just going to do sound bites? I don't want to do that. I want the facts. I want the data. I want our engineers to be telling us what's going on, and then we should take our action plan from then.
Commissioner McKinley?
At the same time, Ms. Baker, would it be possible to, we've heard from some of the coastal communities what the economic impact has been in terms of tourism dollars lost. Could we look at what the economic impact has been in tourism dollars lost for the current bloom on Lake Okeechobee, in the bass fishing environment and the other things that occur on that lake, on the lake, as well as what the economic impact would be if we lost a large chunk of the agricultural industry? I mean, we just had a 20-minute debate on trying to find $48,000 for the city of South Bay to put up a guardrail. I can only imagine we would be looking at an economic impact 10, 20, 30 times greater if we lost a large chunk of our agricultural community, as well as what the health impacts would be on that in terms of not having that produce grown locally and what that would mean to our food banks.
Commissioner Taylor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to ask that, this water has become a big, big issue. I know when we had our meeting with Treasure Coast last week, we brought it up that even they will focus on the water because it affects everyone. So affordable housing has this effect, but the water affects everyone. And now that my mind has been broadened and we are looking at septic tanks and sewers, and fertilizer, that I hate to, because I'm probably one of the worst as far as having workshops, but I think it might be worthy, see what you think, worthy of us having someone come and talk to us, bringing in, as Commissioner Vanna said, engineers and whoever, and Commissioner McKinley, because we really need to know, because in just talking to people, when something is brought up and you don't really know, some might know more than others, but I think if we are all have an opportunity to ask questions and to see what's going on, and to also invite the cities, because to me, the cities certainly should be at the table as we have our discussions, because many of them are perhaps a part of the problem.
Commissioner Abrams, did you want to?
Part of the it's a regional issue, but it is affecting the counties to the north of us more than it is affecting us. And I'm just concerned if we become a focal point for the discussion on this, and sure, everybody wants to know what the facts are, and I think there is a lot of information available, and I think that the media has been doing a good job of explaining all the different facets of this, that there are multiple causes, that there are multiple solutions. So we're not the focal point in Palm Beach County, but the lake is here, but the pollution, fortunately for us, is not as prevalent as in the northern part of the Treasure Coast. So we're not the focal point of this, and by having a meeting where we in effect become a focal point for this issue, I think can have damaging effects on tourism.
Well, you were not in the meeting.
Commissioner Taylor, could we wait till you recognize?
I'm glad to hear the response.
Well, I'd like Ms. Baker had her light on prior to Commissioner Taylor.
We have been having almost daily discussions on this issue since last Friday when the bloom happened. I believe that staff has a very good handle on it. Things are constantly changing. They're having the discussions with DEP in Florida, South Florida Water Management, and Laura Corey is in the audience. I believe that we need a little more time to work with DEP to make sure we have the facts. They're working on the various types of algae bloom, whether it's toxic or not. And I 100% agree with Commissioner Abrams. Martin County is totally in a league that we're not in. We have some issues. It's native. I've learned so much about algae bloom in the last couple of weeks. But we're very different. We're in a different situation than what Martin County is, and we definitely don't want to be in the situation that they're in. South Florida Water Management District is working very closely with us on this issue. They're looking at ways to address this issue as they work through the issue with the LA feeding into the C51 and the bloom occurring there. So they are working with us. They're trying some different methods, and Lori can further explain that. But I would ask you to allow us to continue working through this process and to be able to bring you back appropriate information so that we don't exacerbate a situation that we can later on address with our partners dealing with this. So if you will give us time to continue to work through the process with South Florida Water Management District, with DEP and others, I think we would be doing all of us a greater service than to immediately start to try to address this. And I echo the sentiments that some of the articles written in the Post and some in the Sun Sentinel have been educational. If that's the case. We don't always agree with every single thing they write, but that series has been very, very educational, and it has alleviated some of the fears. We've also worked with our Discover the Palm Beaches, with our PR companies. We've invited others down on a national level to actually view our situation here in Palm Beach County versus Martin County. So I think we're in a position that I think if given a little more time to work through this process, we're able to better educate all of us. So if you will give me that time, I will continue to work, monitor, and keep you informed on this issue.
Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. But I think that we as commissioners need to know if you want to update us or whatever you want to do, because we shouldn't have to depend upon the paper for our information. It should come from you all. And just because staff knows, we need to know as well. But we need to know as you progress, so that because constituents don't call staff, they ask us.
Seeing no further lights, I've totally lost track of where we were. You have no comments? Yes, she did. She did. Do you have any comments?
I have no comments on Commissioner Taylor's comments.
Commissioner Vanna, any comments?
I have none.
I have none. Commissioner Valche?
I did have. I wanted to congratulate Commissioner McKinley, Commissioner Taylor, and Mayor Berger on receiving the FAC Presidential Advocacy